All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely wild, the immense, almost unimaginable power of a single vote, and the massively complex, finely tuned machinery that's built specifically to protect it. You know, when you cast a ballot, you aren't just checking a box or making a choice. You're literally firing up the engines of the world's largest democracy. But how does a system this vast actually guarantee that your specific voice is heard? Let's get right into it and find out.
Okay, let's think about this number for a second. 980 million. That is the actual number of eligible voters in the 2024 Indian Lok Sabha elections. Just let that sink in. We're talking about nearly 1 billion people participating in a single democratic exercise. It's a scale that's entirely unprecedented in all of human history.
So, that brings us to the central puzzle of our explainer today. If you've got 980 million people, and they're spread across towering mountains, dense jungles, and absolutely bustling megacities, how on earth do you ensure every single one of them gets an equal say in their future? Put yourself in the shoes of one of those voters for a minute. You're essentially holding a superpower. But for that power to mean anything at all, the system has to guarantee that your vote counts exactly as much as anyone else's.
Section 1. One citizen, one equal vote.
Okay, so to pull off an operation this massive, you gotta start at the absolute foundation, which is the universal adult franchise. Basically, it means every single Indian citizen aged 18 and above gets one vote, and every single one of those votes has exactly equal value. It doesn't matter what your caste, creed, religion, gender, or income is, none of it. The Constitution makers boldly locked this feature in right from the very beginning of the Republic. And here's a fun fact, the minimum voting age used to be 21, but India actually lowered it to 18 back in 1988 to expand this franchise even further. According to Article 326 of the Constitution, this is the absolute bedrock of all elections, from the national Lok Sabha all the way down to your local village councils.
But why should you care about this specific framework? Well, because it literally strips away all societal discrimination right at the ballot box, ensuring absolute equality. It places the power to determine the future directly into your hands. Because every voice matters, it fosters deep civic engagement. You actually get to help solve problems in your own community. And, maybe most importantly, it makes elected representatives completely answerable to you. If they're not doing a good job, you have the power to just vote them out.
Moving on to Section 2. Fairness in the classroom.
I know, 1 billion voters is kind of hard to wrap your head around. So to really grasp how this fairness works in practice, let's scale it way back to a highly relatable microcosm, a grade 8 classroom election at Suryodaya School. You've got 3 students, Ahmed, Gurmat, and Ravi, running for class representative. Their teacher, Mrs. Usha, steps in to act as the election officer. First up, we've got campaigning, where the candidates get to share their big ideas. Then, crucially, comes voting day. Mrs. Usha sets up a voting booth right in the corner of the room to ensure a secret ballot. This is huge. It means nobody knows who you voted for, keeping the whole process entirely private and totally free from peer pressure. Finally, you have the counting of a securely sealed box. Now, these foundational rules of fairness and transparency, they're the exact same principles that apply whether you're electing a class rep or a member of parliament.
Now, here's the absolute best part of this classroom story. Miss Usha didn't just pass out standard pieces of paper. She made sure there was a ballot paper in Braille for a visually impaired student named Neha. This right here is the true heart of democracy. Fairness isn't just about handing everyone a piece of paper. It's about actively removing barriers so that every single person can independently exercise their right. This micro-level inclusivity perfectly sets the stage for how India approaches elections on a massive national level.
Section 3. A historic democratic leap.
All right, zooming back out to the national scale. How has India historically championed this exact type of fairness? Well, while women in a lot of other nations had to fight these long, arduous battles over decades just to win the fundamental democratic right to vote, India's progressive constitutional vision granted women universal franchise from the very first day of its independence. Compare that to a highly developed nation like Switzerland, which only granted women the right to vote in 1971. It really just goes to show how bold and unprecedented India's democratic experiment truly was from day one.
Which brings us to Section 4. No voter left behind.
Saying everyone is equal on paper is one thing, right? But actually executing it? Totally different ballgame. Remember Miss Usha helping Neha? The Election Commission of India, or the ECI, scales that exact level of dedication up to a country of 1.4 billion people.
To cover 543 parliamentary constituencies, they deploy over 1 million polling stations. And they don't just plop these down in easy-to-reach city centers. No way. Election officials literally travel through dense jungles, they hike up snow-capped mountains, and they wade through riverine terrains, physically carrying voting machines. It is truly amazing the lengths they go to, because geography should never, ever block your right to vote. And just like that Braille ballot in our classroom, the ECI provides assistive technologies like Braille-enabled voter cards, ramps, and wheelchairs at polling stations.
And honestly, seeing this play out on the ground is just awe-inspiring. You've got these dedicated election officials and incredible volunteers physically assisting elderly voters and persons with disabilities, making absolutely sure they can safely navigate the polling station. It's a really powerful visual reminder that this entire system is engineered to ensure absolutely no voter is left behind.
And they keep pushing the envelope. In 2024, the Election Commission rolled out something truly revolutionary. For the first time ever on a pan-India scale, they brought the polling station directly to the voters. Eligible senior citizens could literally cast their vote from a secure, totally private voting compartment set up right inside their own bedrooms.
Or take the postal ballot initiative. It's available for specific categories, like the elderly and those with disabilities, allowing them to vote securely right from the comfort of their own couch. It just proves the extraordinary lengths the democratic system will go to. Think about it. If you cannot reach the ballot box will literally come to you.
Now, beyond the crazy logistics, how do they actually protect the integrity of your choice? Well, that's where the tech comes in. They use the electronic voting machine, or EVM, paired with a VVPAT unit. VVPAT stands for Voter Verifiable Paper Audit Trail. When you press the button on the EVM, the VVPAT prints a physical paper slip that you can actually see through a little glass window. It lets you personally verify that your electronic vote was cast exactly as you intended, providing a physical backup for recounting. It's a system so incredibly effective that other countries literally get training from India on how to adopt it.
Section 5. Your voice, your power.
So we've looked at the history, the mind-boggling logistics, the tech. But listen, none of this works without you. And sometimes the true power of your voice is in expressing dissatisfaction. You can do this through a feature called NOTA, which stands for none of the above. If you look at the candidates on your ballot and feel like absolutely none of them deserve to represent you, you have the constitutional right to officially reject them all. Now, while it doesn't change the immediate mathematical result of that specific election, it is a quiet but incredibly powerful democratic tool. It sends a glaring message directly to political parties demanding better, more qualified choices in the future.
Basically, the big takeaway here is that your rights come with responsibilities. All this massive effort by the ECI, the officials literally hiking through snow, the Braille ballots, the home voting compartments, it only matters if you step up. You need to make sure you're registered in your constituency. You've got to take your responsibility to vote seriously, staying vigilant and aware of who the candidates are and what they stand for. The general election is so often called the festival of democracy. But let's be real, a festival is only a success if the people actually show up and participate.
We kicked off this explainer looking at 980 million voters. But you know what? Democracy always comes back to the power of one. One citizen. One equal vote. The massive machinery is built, the physical barriers are being broken down, and your ballot is waiting. So I'm going to leave you with this thought. When the next election arrives in your region, how will you choose to use the incredible power of your equal vote? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.